Donald Trump announced that he intended on banning transgender individuals from serving in the military, and this is something I'd been a bit conflicted about since I heard of it. In one hand, there are legitimate medical and financial concerns that can be raised to justify this decision, but on the other hand, there are mitigating factors that can make a transgendered soldier just as efficacious as anyone else. I've spent the past while considering all of the implications that follow from this decision, as well as conversing with different kinds of people to get as complete a picture of the realities of the situation as I can. Before we go into any of that, I just want to go over the facts of what we know right now because I've seen a lot of people get the specifics wrong. On Wednesday, President Trump made a series of tweets which explained the following. After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory, and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. This has been grossly misinterpreted by people on both sides of this issue, so I have to issue the same statements to each of them. Everyone, calm down. I know Trump likes to talk about what he's going to do via Twitter, but the US government is not run by what Donald Trump posts on Twitter. We have a system in place, and according to most media outlets, this is going to face very harsh scrutiny if the White House submits anything to the Department of Defense that isn't a well-reasoned and logically sound request for policy change. That being said, the issues that Trump raised aren't without any merit, and let me explain why this is. The order that came from the Obama administration was nothing more than a sloppy attempt at virtue signaling, and a clear path of policy and regulation were not made. Instead, what we got was an order from the administration telling the Department of Defense to cobble something together later on, and then they did the best they could with the 4 months they were given to come up with a decision on how to make policy around this issue. You see, in a normal country that allows transsexual individuals to serve in the military, there is a particular rule set that is usually laid out. And for this, I'll cite the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense policy regarding transgendered people as an example. We'll start with paragraph 41, medical grading of applicants who are in the transition phase, which reads as such. Transition is often very challenging, and transsexual people undergoing a long and difficult transition may feel isolated and distressed. For this reason, recruitment into the armed forces and initial training may not be compatible with the supportive environment that is essential for transsexual people at this time. However, a transsexual person in gender transition may only need support for a comparatively short time before being able to resume a self-sufficient life. Applicants for recruitment who are not undergoing surgery or receiving hormonal treatment may be suitable for recruitment, subject to meeting the fitness standards required to join the armed forces. What this means is that the UK Armed Forces generally do not accept transgender applicants who have not yet finished the primary period of hormone replacement therapy. This is the core of the problem. While it might not seem like that big of a deal if you're not familiar with the specifics of hormone replacement therapy, the fact of the matter is that undergoing any kind of hormone treatment, regardless of whether it was due to transitioning or some other kind of disorder of the endocrine system, is a medical status that renders a soldier undeployable. The endocrine system is complex, and ensuring that the proper balance of hormones are being circulated through the body on a regular schedule requires close monitoring by an endocrinologist. The end result of someone suddenly being unable to manage their hormones, be it through deployment to a country where proper medicines are not available, inability to receive proper monitoring, or any of the myriad of reasons why an issue could develop, has serious implications, some of which can be life-threatening or even cause serious long-term damage. This is why the United Kingdom handles people who are on hormone replacement therapy as such. Applicants who are receiving hormonal treatment may be graded P2 providing the dose of medication is stable, there are no significant side effects, and the medication regime and its monitoring do not preclude worldwide deployment. Worldwide deployment may not be possible as some medications have specific storage requirements, which may be affected by deployment to cold or hot environments. In the very early stages of hormone treatment, it may be necessary to grade the individual P8 until treatment is stabilized, as with any other condition that is being treated or requires surgery at the time of application to join the armed forces. A P2 designation in this instance means that a soldier is fit for service with no restrictions, and a P8 designation means that a soldier is unfit for any service or that medical discharge is recommended. Now, knowing that what I'm saying here is standard practice in militaries that are accepting of transsexual people abroad, consider the current state of the US military. We have a relatively short and quite frankly absurd rule set, with many of the rules contradicting each other, which is ultimately the result of poor planning. In terms of costs, transsexual people in the military are free to start hormone replacement therapy once they've been medically cleared for treatment, and the Pentagon is required to pay for it. However, as a result of them beginning treatment, we now have soldiers who are undeployable for a period of 12 to 36 months, or possibly indefinitely, that we have already spent tens of thousands of dollars on, and whose positions now need to be filled, creating additional costs on top of the medical costs that we already carry the burden for. This is a bit unreasonable on the military when they don't have the proper framework to handle the situation in the most efficient way possible. And unlike in the United Kingdom, we do not currently have the option of discharging transsexual people whose procedures and treatments will take an excessively long period of time for them to return to a deployable status, until that time has already been expended. Or at least, my understanding of the situation is that the military generally has a somewhat unrealistic expectation in mind for soldiers who are already in the military to transition. Now, I have to compare this to the United Kingdom's military policy, which specifically avoids issues like this by requiring soldiers who have received a gender dysphoria diagnosis who wish to undergo transition to be downgraded to designation P7 as soon as they're made aware of it. A P7 designation means UK only, non-sea service. As it stands, the US military does not take this into consideration proactively, and it's up to a person's commander to have this knowledge when coming to a decision on what a soldier can be assigned to do and where they can be assigned to do it. And this is not something that is in the best interest of the military or the health of the soldier. This is the actual problem that the Trump administration is ham-handedly responding to, caused by the Obama administration's ham-handed reversal of the ban affecting transgendered people. The rule set that followed the Obama administration's decision wasn't fully thought out and was done in a very rushed manner. Unfortunately, this means that it left a few holes in what needed to be covered, most notably the logistics and the exact medical needs in the situation. To a lot of people in the government, something not working perfectly this one time when it was implemented poorly and rushed is enough reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater and never ever approach the subject again, which, once you throw Donald Trump into the equation, probably explains why the first thing we're hearing about this at all is a complete and total ban. Am I saying that a ban on transgendered people is something that we should excuse and allow to happen? No, I'm not. I'm saying that this situation is most likely not being caused by bigotry towards trans people. Instead, it's being caused by a lack of complete understanding of the issue and its possible solutions by the White House. If you are someone who opposes the ban, it does absolutely no good to call Donald Trump hateful or transphobic or any other pejorative, because I don't get the impression that he is. I don't even think he honestly cares whether or not trans people serve in the military one way or the other. I think that he just skimmed through the documentation he was given by his generals and came to a brash decision as a result of that, where a more nuanced statement and order were necessary. Now, you can sit there and brood about it, you can complain until you're blue in the face, you can swear at the man, even hate him if you feel you must. But if you're someone who actually wants to positively affect change, you should take this opportunity, in the time that Trump has not submitted a request to the Department of Defense, to send him a short explanation of why he should adopt the policies in use by the British government, instead of just banning transgendered people from serving in the military outright. Trump is literally the first and only president in the history of the United States to be as approachable as he is through Twitter. He's a somewhat vain man who doesn't really care about towing party lines. At the end of the day, I think he just wants people to remember him well, and you can help him achieve that goal by trying to point him in the right direction. He's strong-willed, but as he demonstrated many times during the campaign trail, he does listen.